that it's not always going to be there. It's just not always going to be there. It's always transient. Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Walter, what are your thoughts on cultivating a growth mindset? What kind of things can you do so that you are willing to take in, new information and try to do things differently and see things from a different point of view?
It depends on how you learn or see the world, but you can often use like examples from the world. So for example, this morning with one of my kids. So when you say growth mindset, I immediately think resilience. I immediately think when challenges creep up, as they always do in life and certainly in trading, what are you going to do about it? Okay. So one way to look at things is to see the world as constantly changing, which it is. The world is always changing. We have this, like, we can romanticize what it was like back when we were kids, or when we lived in a certain place, or when, this person was around who's not around anymore, or whatever. But if we think about life as always being change, as a person in this world, we have to learn how to deal with that. You can look at things, and that could be an example of that. So like I was telling my kid today, we were talking about making a sandcastle at the beach, and how, like, if you come back later, the sandcastle might not be there. Like if you make it right on the verge of if you build a sandcastle and the tide's coming in, the tide's going to come in, and it's going to, mess it up, weather it down. Probably, you wouldn't even know within a day, you wouldn't even know that there was a sandcastle there. Right. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you make the sandcastle and then the tide's going out. So it actually stays a bit longer. Right. So that's how I look at challenges and things that come up in your life. It's like, that's kind of like that sandcastle. It seems like it's really strong, and the waves that come up, they can't even get over the wall, and it's so, it's so powerful in that. But then you come back later, and over time you see it's completely gone. So, and that's how it is with our trading challenges. Something feels like it's so difficult to get through, and there's no way you'll get to the other side. But yeah, if you think of the fact that the world's always changing, and that you just have to deal with that change, it's a much more easier approach to see your ability to be resilient when you know that it's not always going to be there. It's just not always going to be there. It's always transient. Everything that you're dealing with right now is transient. Whether even life, whether you believe it or not, it's transient. It's going to be gone soon. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it happens fairly quickly. So I think just seeing that there's a lot of change, and thinking about the fact that you have something that's bothering you in your trading or whatever, and then knowing that it's not going to be there. And so it's up to you to decide, what do I do with this? Is this an opportunity for me to get better? Because it is, of course, right? When we get into the victim mindset, we see the challenge and we think, oh, that's it. It's over. It's never going to get better. This is just going to get worse. I can see it snowballing, blah, 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 blah. But instead, if you look at it as, okay, this is a challenge. What is this going to enable me to learn? What is the new skill or the new approach or the new way of thinking that I can gather that it becomes part of me because of this? If you're trying to help someone through it, I think sometimes that's a good way to look at it, is that change is constant. The only thing that's constant is change. And so, there's really no reason for you to throw your arms up and think that all is lost, because it's just where you're at right now. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, totally. And I would add to that, I think one useful thing to do is to commit to, if you think you are kind of stuck in something, maybe commit to taking on or challenging one of your beliefs, maybe once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever makes sense for you. And just try to see the other side of that belief. And if you can, at least consider the other point of view, I think it goes a long way to helping you see other points of view in other parts of your life. And if you have a big problem, it might be hard to see the other side of that immediately, or change that immediately. But if you start to use like small examples, something like, oh, I shouldn't eat oatmeal and at breakfast or something, and why not challenge that idea? Maybe eat oatmeal, maybe it does give you more energy, or maybe not, but at least you try to explore that idea. So I think that's another useful exercise to help you kind of overcome some of these ideas that have been really deeply ingrained in your psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like you can use that approach to, to challenge the limiting ideas that creep up. Like catastrophizing is a big one for traders. Like, oh no, I've lost for 3 weeks now. I'm never going to make it. It's never going to work, blah, 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 blah. So you can challenge that. Say, well, hang on. Am I doing the same thing that I did in my back testing? Yes. Okay. Well, what did my back testing show? Did it show any drawdowns that were similar to this? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes. So is this really any different from what I would really expect? Mm-hmm. I'm getting a drawdown that's the same as I had in my back testing. I'm doing everything exactly like I did in my back testing. It's not that the market's changed, most likely. It's not that I've changed, most likely. It's just that I am in the midst of a pretty bad drawdown, but that was kind of to be expected. So, like challenging those thinking patterns that lead to the feeling of desperation and almost like, it's just not worth it anymore, giving up. Challenging those thoughts can be really useful.
Yeah, and I think
just like challenging our habits, I guess.
Yeah. And I think when you go back to your journal, sometimes you realize, oh, I was only maybe like 1 or 2 mistakes away from a profitable month, and that can give you a lot of hope. Also, it was just like, you're not that bad.
Absolutely, that's a really good point. Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, I heard an interview with the other day with the Tom Brady, the quarterback, right, the really well-known quarterback in the National Football League, and he was saying almost exactly what you said, but he said it in his world. He was saying that when his team plays at a really loud stadium, like the one in Seattle or whatever, it makes it really hard for them to audible out of their play into a different play and stuff like that, because people can't hear. And it's hard to, it's just really difficult as an offense to snap the ball and everything and everyone be on the same page when you can't hear because the crowd is so loud. Right. And what he said was that might mess up 6 or 7 plays a game. If the crowd noise screws up 6 to 7 plays a game, that's 10% of your plays, because you have maybe 60 plays in a game. So that's like about 10% of the offensive plays that you have in a game are actually screwed up. That's a lot to overcome. And it's kind of exactly what you're saying. Let's say you have 20 trades in a month and 2 of them you didn't do so well at for whatever reason. You didn't execute very well. But looking back on that, just having done those, if you had done those the right way as you should have, like, instead of getting out early, you held on for the whole trailing exit to get you out and all that, it would have been a completely different month, right? It's sort of the same thing. Just that little time, like sometimes it's hard for us to see that it's just right there. It's just so close. It's just that little bit, like just a few things, if they fall in the right place, if you approach them as you should, it completely changes everything. So
yeah, that's what I respect about Brady so much too. I think is that he always looks at those little things, right? And I think that's why he's so good.
Yeah,
aren't they undefeated this season?
Yeah. I think they have one loss,
something like that, right? Yeah, and I mean, he got kicked out of the Patriots basically, and now he's like killing it with Tampa Bay. So the little things matter too.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Yep.
All right, thanks, Walter.
Thanks.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.